Let's get into this week's ranking, shall we? And what are the biggest moves? And was there any moves? And how do you view the New England Patriots in specific? Because they're like the hottest team in football if you exclude the Colts, I guess, in this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots are a team that I feel like pretty early in the season, once they kind of got out of that initial funk, I was like a little ahead, I thought, and saying this team is actually good. Keep an eye on them. They kept winning. And now, like, everyone else has moved on to the Patriots are great. So everybody's on that train. And I've been a little hesitant to get there, that this is a true powerhouse in the league. And to be honest with you, even after Monday's win, which as fun as it was to watch, and we all enjoyed it with the crazy weather and all that, I didn't come out of that game feeling like, okay, now I'm ready to say they're as good as the top three teams. I mean, there are three teams that I totally see and trust as Super Bowl favorites: Green Bay, Arizona, Tampa. I have the Patriots now slotted in at number 4. And obviously I think they're the class of the AFC right now. But am I all the way there yet that I see them as at the equal of those top 3 teams? Where are you at on that, Pat? Do you see the Patriots in that same level of those 3 other teams?
The interesting thing is you have Aaron Rodgers with one team, you have Tom fucking Brady with the other team, and then Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, and that whole squad with how many steps, Cliff Kingsbury. They go to Chicago and make what? Can they make you a fucking graphic at least? Because can we get a graphic of your top 10? Yeah. So, I mean, we're trying to figure this out on the fly here because it's only on the site. We're going to make you a graphic each week, Dan.
There we go.
And we're going to make you a graphic. We'll send it over there for you, because your rankings are real. I just think whenever you talk about the Patriots, the Monday night game, I don't think we take anything out of it other than the fact we all knew Bill Belichick was going to win that game. I don't know. I hate to say it to the people, and there was many an opportunity where the Bills could have won it, even late there. But throwing into a 30-mile-an-hour wind, people are saying, "Oh, he missed the guy." No shit. Why do you think they literally did not throw the ball on the other sideline? I just think you can't really calculate that game into anything. But if you go back the previous weeks, and then I guess you can add in the fact that Bill Belichick is still fucking Bill Belichick, and he is stubborn, and he is okay with doing whatever to win. Hey, I don't want this dude throwing the ball at all. Actually, let's just run the thing the entire time we're going to do this. You calculate all those things together. Plus, you watch Man in the Arena, and you listen to how Tom and Willie and basically everybody was Vrabes was even talking about, and Brewski, how Bill Belichick can just predict the game and everything. And now that they have a guy that can make all the plays for him, and in Mac Jones that they want, I just think that's a team that is tough to bet against. I think that is a team that is very tough to bet against. But the Indianapolis Colts is another squad that, after watching them dismantle the horrible Houston Texans, who Jack Easterby's still down there doing his thing.
Oh, yeah, he ain't going anywhere.
Jack Easterby's still down there doing 1-2 step on water, alongside Jesus, 1 fish, 2 fish, Jackfish, Bluefish, you know what I mean, doing his thing. That's an actual sermon he gave. You can find that on the internet of Jack Easterby. But they have been dominant, and that game travels into the playoffs. Is that something you think about? Like, what are teams going to look like in the playoffs? What's their style of play? Like the Bills, they can't stop the ground and pound, is what everybody's thinking. And in playoff football, you have to be able to do that. Is that why they took a little bit of a drop as well?
Yeah, I think it was just a bad look, and they were frustrated. You saw Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, they were upset with some of the questions after Monday Night Football. Were you embarrassed that you knew the run was coming? They threw 3 passes, you still got beaten. They were like, wait a second, we gave up 14 points. So I don't think they necessarily have a bad defense, but I think it is telling that once that game really took shape, they knew a run was coming. They couldn't stop. They were just losing up front. So, yeah, that's a concern, whether the Bills are physical enough. And I guess the irony is they're the team up in Western New York. You think they were the team that would be ready for this type of football. But, yeah, it is the Colts, the dome team. And for me, I have them at number 9, the Colts. And we'll see that, that loss to Tampa was a tough one, because I think everybody, myself included, was ready to be like, all right, this is the team right here that is the wild card in terms of who's going to jump in and become a superpower. And they might still be. But the Bucks, that took a little air out of the balloon. Then they beat up on another bad team. They cream terrible teams. They just destroy them. And I think what's going to be exciting for them is they got the bye, then Patriots and Cardinals. And you figure, this team feels like they're going to be able to contend against both those teams.
We ain't fucking worried about nothing, right? Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
with that?
if they beat one or both those teams, they enter that like legit Super Bowl favorite conversation. So I'm really excited to see them. They only have one win, obviously, against a plus 500 opponent, but you only play your schedule, and it's time now.
What do you want them to do, dude? They didn't fucking book the schedule.
Yeah,
what do you want
from
the Colts?
A team above 500.
Well, they tried the Bills. I mean, what do you want the Bills? If they would be a little bit better, that'd be a much bigger win. Whenever Jonathan Taylor ran for 5 fucking touchdowns, and I don't want to get into the full MVP conversation because that's not your thing. But did I see you thinking like? Yeah, if the Colts beat the Patriots, going to have to move them up the power rankings. Is that how you view every team? Is that your entire season view on things? Is the power rankings kind of driving all thought and all talk and chatter in your life?
I would, well, not everything in my life, but most of it this time of year. But yeah, that where a team, if you go and beat a team that's ahead of you, obviously in the rankings, that means I really feel good about that other team. So yeah, that definitely plays a big role in it. And yeah, the MVP race is a lot of fun because Jonathan Taylor obviously has a big, he's a horse in that race. But Tom Brady, of course, too, which is insane. The Bucs at number 3 and Brady at 44 years old leads the league in touchdowns and yardage. So it's like, that's as wide open as the power rankings are this year. And it's been, I wouldn't say it's a problem to try to figure out the rankings. It's a challenge. That's the way to put it, to figure it out, especially outside the top 5. Like figuring out the 6 to 14 right now is literally impossible. But the MVP race is just the same. Like it's kind of just a weird, funky year, and it's going to be fun to see how it all closes.
The top 9 MVP candidates are 8 quarterbacks and Jonathan Taylor. So
where's TJ Watt?
Oh, the defensive player of the year, but Ben Roethlisberger is pushing for him to be MVP as a whole. Now, I think if they don't make the playoffs, that's going to be a tough thing, but that team could turn around. Where'd they land on your rankings after a big-time win?
All right, so the Steelers, obviously, I was down on them like everybody else. I had them all the way down to 21.
Oh,
they got
shit.
beat by Cincy, but I got them up to 18 now. And that puts them, they're knocking on the, once you get in the top 16, you're like a fringe bubble playoff team. So yeah, that's where I have them right now. Do you see that? Are you not down with that? They haven't earned my trust fully, but they're lingering on the periphery of this playoff race.
Well, Dan Zeus, the interesting thing is they have Mike Tomlin, and Mike Tomlin's record says that they will not have a losing record. And if you look at all of the records that are currently had, there is going to be a 500 team that makes it into the playoffs. There's going to be somebody that's 1 win over 500. I guess you can't be 500 anymore. It's 17 games.
Oh, yeah.
But you get it. There's going to be a lot of.
8-1.
There's going to be a lot. Yeah, I guess you could be 8-1, which the Steelers would be. There's a chance that a 500 team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, make it in. 4 losses is the top of the AFC already. That's a lot of losses this early into the season. That sounds ridiculous, but it's real. Like normally there'd be at least 1 or 2, 11-1, 10-2 teams. There's only the Cardinals now. And in the NFC, it's a little bit tighter, but the Steelers can make it. And do you bet on Mike Tomlin? Yes. Do you bet on this Ben Roethlisberger, who's one for the Gipper, going out, telling people he's going out? He said just yesterday, I've thrown, like 1 million times? My shoulder's actually going out. It's not the elbow, and we're seeing that. They have Najee Harris, who's top 5 rusher in the NFL right now. The defense is always the defense. Why not? Why couldn't the Steelers go? But it just seems like sometimes they don't show up, to your point. And that's been the story of this entire season, Dan Zeus. Teams have been showing up and then not showing up at all. It's been a sporadic year. Has this been crazier than any other year you've had to do this in the past?
Yeah, I think when you had money on, you had mentioned I'd been doing the power rankings for 40 years. This is my 3rd season doing it.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
I'm still somewhat in the years I've done it. Yes, this has been much more difficult a task. Like the number 10 spot is funny right now because when the Vikings beat the Packers 2 weeks ago, like I was kind of riding for the Vikings hard as like this team, this berserker to keep an eye on that can make a lot of noise. Slotted them in at number 10. They lost, and then they lost to the Lions, and now they're dropped way back down. Last week, San Francisco, they had gotten my trust and my interest. I said, all right, that's a top 10 team. Pop them into top 10. They go down against Seattle. So it's that back end of the top 10 is very interesting. And then the other spot, there's like a mystery spot in my power rankings that I just noticed it over time. Whoever I put at number 13 is the one where I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck to do here. And I just I don't know if they suck. I don't know if they're good. I don't know if they have a future. I don't know if they're in the past. I'm just going to stick with 13 and see what happens. That's where this week it's the Titans. Because I was thinking about it as I was watching Monday Night Football. I was like, who is the team? Because I grew up, Pat, a Jets fan. And it's like, so the Patriots, I don't need another Patriots dynasty in my life, even though, of course, I try to keep things fair on the level of the power rankings.
Yeah, of course.
But I just, so it's like the Titans are the team as I'm watching Monday night. If they got healthy, they make sense as a physical team that could go up against the Patriots in January and be able to punch them in the mouth and take a punch in the mouth. Wow. But they need to get healthy. And it's like, if they don't, they could fall all the way out of the playoffs. I think the Colts have a real good chance. I know it seems impossible still because of the tiebreaker and the standings, but I think the Titans, if they don't find a way to win some games here, they could fall all the way out of the playoffs. But if they do get healthy, if they do make the playoffs, they are a team that maybe can make some noise still. It just doesn't feel like that way because they've been banged up for so long now.
I'll be interested to see what the Tennessee Titans become.